Okay, so hey guys, and welcome. This will be the spoiler-filled talk about Suicide Squad. I am joined once again by Brad.
Hey everyone.
So, yeah, we can get right into it, and I guess the first thing I gotta say is, Slipknot, why? Why, man? Why? Why you do this to me?
It's okay.
I was rooting for you. You're Native American. You're my brother, man. God. I don't think I can recover from this.
You know, I don't think people knew that about you.
Oh, did you not? It's okay. It happens. No one else knows it either. Anyway, yeah, so let's, guess, jump into it. I'm going to start with Harley Quinn and Joker. There's, first of all, the costume. Seeing that original costume, seeing her wear that costume, seeing that, that scene that was straight out of the comic, Mad Love, I believe, was the one. I loved it. I don't know how much you liked it or didn't like it, but I absolutely loved it. That was amazing for me to see that. I didn't expect that. I didn't see any indication of that, and it happened.
I'll admit to being less invested in that sort of thing.
Fair
I do
enough.
appreciate that. I do recognize that it is kind of a throwback to an earlier thing, but for me, it just... I just don't care as much about that sort of thing.
Okay, well, for me, guys, that was awesome. Just absolutely awesome. So I really like that. And we're going to kind of jump all over the place, I feel. So be prepared to do that. It's just thoughts coming to my head. I'm going to jump over the place. But Enchantress and her dance, which I could do, but it wouldn't do you guys any good. It's gotten a lot of criticism, and I'll admit it looks pretty weird, right? It does look weird, but I don't. It's one of those things where you find something and you magnify how important it is, how significant it is compared to the overarching story, overarching movie. So I didn't find it to be as big of a deal as what people are laying on, but it is awkward. I will say that. So she's awkward.
It definitely looks that way. I mean, but I did have to step back and say, it's like, well, I guess the idea here is that this magic that she's doing is very ritualistic. And, a lot of rituals from previous things have actually involved a lot of, like, dancing and movement and that sort of thing. So I guess that's what they were going with. But, yes, when you realize that she's been doing this sort of thing probably for, like, a full day or so, it's like, it's just damn.
Yeah. She been drinking that Kickstarter, a Red Bull or something.
She just can't help it anymore.
She got that energy. She's trying to fly. She's pretty old, so maybe she just knows those old commercials or something where they lied to you. Does not give you wings. Jerks. Anyway, I thought the character was awkward. Again, the human aspect of it, I was fine. I was fine with her. And even when she was, I guess, pre-final form, Super Saiyan, I don't know what you call it. That before she changed, right? When she still had that, dark, sexy outfit on or whatever, she was fine. Like she had some. She seemed like she could have been intimidating, and that transformation again, where, her hand is on the table, and then you see Enchantress, her hand come up through, and then like flip over and everything. That was really cool. I needed more stuff like that. Navi's trying to interrupt me, so like always, damn Navi.
And I agree, that sort of thing. And she definitely had her moments in this movie where it was like really cool, like the beginning part when she's being introduced, like you said, with the inverse, like the flip transformation, and and like when she actually took the gloves off and got involved in the fight towards the end. I actually felt that was pretty cool. It's just there are so many other things, that kind of bog this down a little bit. Like that ritual that took a full day to get charged,
Yeah.
Probably not the most practical form of magic use ever invented, but...
Well, yeah, I mean, that's true. And part of that fight seemed a little awkward to me again. That slow motion shot, guys. Just like throw the item up, slow motion. Coming over with the gun, slow motion. Oh, there's a kid. The kid's trying to distract, which I actually enjoy the fact that she tried to do that, right? But still shoot the thing, slow motion. Like, it's like, okay, I get it. Come on, don't do that. But I'm gonna take a moment because I think I said I would do this, and I'm gonna compare this movie, compare it to Guardians of the Galaxy, because a lot of people are giving this movie crap, and I don't think it deserves crap. I don't think it's perfect. I mean, I love Guardians, but yes, I said it. I love Guardians, and I have a DC image as my icon for my channel. So come at me, haters. But I said before, you can like both. I mean, jeez. But Guardians did this. Guardians did do this concept better. They had this team. We didn't know anything about them beforehand. They established them kind of separate, brought them in as a group. They had to fight this villain that was kind of one track villain that was just there for the purpose of getting this team together. This villain who only mentioned his backstory, I think, in a couple lines of dialogue, and that's it. So that's all the motivation you got from him. This villain that was working under someone who overall was like in charge of everything, who was overseeing everything, but then decided to go against this person to achieve their own personal goals, which meant a destruction of a planet. this villain, who at the end they had to unite and defeat in kind of a, I want to say kind of a cheesy way, if I'm being honest, but they did. They band together to defeat this one, and yet they're still not exactly heroes. They're still. Wait, which movie was I talking about? Yeah, right. Suicide, or no, Guardians. That's what I'm talking about. Guardians. Jeez. Ooh, I got lost a little bit for a second. Oh, the point is, they're similar movies. I think Guardians just was edited a little better. I think Guardians flowed a little better. So it worked. But you can have a movie that does not have all these characters that were established beforehand and still have them come across good and give them little bits. But even in Guardians, we didn't get everyone's backstory. We got Star-Lord, but most of it was just offhanded.
We did actually get a lot of brief backstory with those, and I think to continue this comparison is like part of what I felt was a problem with this movie was like, it was when you're looking at all these characters and you see the stats and you're supposed to be introduced to them and all that kind of stuff. Obviously, it does take a while because there's a lot of characters that kind of go through a lot of this, but you don't really get the same kind of assessment out of them that you got in, say, Guardians, or even if you've seen it, Assault on Arkham, the animated one. Because in Guardians, you had that scene where it's like, everybody except Drax is there, and you get that one's the improv type, one's the finesse type, one's the gunner type, one's the strong type.
Oh, you mean all at the same time?
This one, you got some people that seem like they're, well, you get different like things, where Diablo and Deadshot, seem like they're really at the top of their game. Harley Quinn, you're not really sure how that pans out. But then you got like Captain Boomerang, and you're really not sure how good or whatever Captain Boomerang actually is, because you don't get a clear thing showing you that. And Killer Croc, you imagine he's pretty durable and pretty strong, but again, that's a little bit here and there. So I think what this one's part of what this one got off to is like these are supposed to be some of the top people in the world, but they're the top bad people in the world, and you're supposed to put them together for these missions that should otherwise be impossible, but you don't really feel like everybody necessarily earns their place here.
I don't know. I have to disagree a little bit because first I want to say that the whole thing about Guardians is you get some backstory, but it's in talking. Star-Lord's the only backstory that you actually see happen. Star-Lord's the only backstory that you get involved with in that way. What makes it work is their interactions with each other and the kind of fun atmosphere that the movie puts you in. This one has a series of flashbacks for some of the characters, more so than Guardians, where we actually see what happened to them, and I like that. So the complaint that there's some characters that don't get that, I feel like, okay, that's fine, but I've seen a movie where they didn't do that, and it worked. I think if the editing was better, if the pacing of the story itself was better, then it would have worked. Would have worked more so like Guardians did. I think it's because that's lacking, and I'll agree with you on that. Aside from Drax, the characters had a moment early on where they were all in the same thing, and they were trying to achieve one goal. They're all in that same area, and there was a fun thing with that. And we didn't really get that here. We got their intros separated, and eventually we got them together, but we didn't have that kind of fun moment that this one had. So, which you don't have to have. I'll say that. You do not have to have that. As someone who liked BVS, you do not have to have that fun type of thing, that fun atmosphere to really drive it. You have to have better editing. You have to have better pacing. You have to have something to make it to where I don't notice. And this didn't do that. So I got to knock it in that regard for doing that. And I think I did like the soundtrack. I did like the way it was working. But again, I think it kind of worked better in Guardians because of how it was used and how it was spaced out. Whereas this one had it, it was track all together. And I kind of got what they were doing, but it did feel a little jarring for some people. So I think that threw some people off. For sure. But again, this we made a joke about this. This is kind of like Guardians of the Galaxy Light, because aside from people knowing Harley Quinn, I guess some people maybe, but the general audience would know Joker. Yet it's a new Joker. Otherwise, you don't really know the characters. We did, but otherwise, just general audience doesn't know the characters, just like they didn't know Guardians. So you're going in there and you have to establish certain things. You have to do them along. The Thanos in this movie was Amanda Waller. Enchantress in this movie is Ronan. Yeah, see, I forget. He's so forgettable. And I knew I would have thought of his name. Sorry, forgive me. Would have thought his name. But at least with Enchantress, I did get some backstory. So I actually appreciate seeing that versus just some offhanded line about his motivations and that being the end of it. But yeah, Guardians had them team up at the end by holding the stone with our powers combined moment. Friendship unite us, holding each other's hands, peace save the world kind of moment, and took Ronan out. That's lame. That's really lame when you think about it. But no, like in the moment, I was like, yeah, the power of friendship. All
right. I think you're going a little too off topic.
No, but I mean it. That's the kind of... So this movie had that kind of moment. And it was underwhelming like it was in that one. The difference is that one had a funny moment leading into it. That one had such a cohesive story throughout, and had just, I was enjoying so much of that movie that when that happened, and yeah, that part wasn't great, it doesn't really bog the movie down for me at all. Whereas this movie kind of gets bogged down a little bit. And I don't think this movie sucks. I think this movie was good. It just could have been great. And I kind of wish it was great, but it wasn't. But can you think of anything else? I think we've gone over music, villain, some characters.
I think we were needing to talk about, in this one, Joker and Harley Quinn's relationship in this movie. Because as we alluded to in our non-spoiler review, it's very different in this one. You know,
it is different, yes.
In previous things that we've seen, Joker has either been more or less dismissive of this relationship, or has embellished it where he's been kind of abusive towards it. You know, but this one suggests that the two of them actually really do care about each other, which presents a different kind of, you know, dynamic between them, because it's like, you know, I'm not coming back to get you because you're simply a possession. I'm coming back to get you because, you know, because I actually give it a damn.
There have been moments where it's suggested that Joker needs Harley a little, but it's never gone over to the commitment that he kind of shows Harley in this one. And also Harley becoming Harley by jumping in. She jumped in on her own. I believe she was pushed in by Joker in the comics. Maybe even the show. That's been a while, but she actually willingly jumped in. So that was different. That brought a little bit of a different level to it. But I was fine with it. I know some people aren't, and that's fine. You don't have to be. It's certainly different. But I was okay with seeing this new kind of version of it. I've seen the way it works, you know, up until this point. I've seen how it's been more one-sided than not. So it was kind of nice to see that, yeah, Joker kind of does need Harley, and Harley needs Joker. Like they kind of, I mean, aside from Batman, they kind of complete each other in a way, you know? So I liked seeing that. And the moment where, and you mentioned this too, her vision that Enchantress gives her, where it showcases her having a normal life with a kid and Joker, and they're all two kids, you know, just a normal kind of life. I thought that was interesting, and it reminded me of Return of the Joker from Batman Beyond, the movie, where they had taken which Robin was it? It was Tim, right?
Yeah, that was Tim Drake.
Tim Drake. They had taken Tim Drake and basically turned him into like a mini Joker. And she was talking about how she was gonna make everything right, and how she was gonna be there, and they were gonna be one big happy family. So I've seen Harley have that kind of desire before, and to know that even with her being insane at the core of it, she kind of longs for sanity in a way. She longs for that.
And I loved how that tied into that bar scene that happened before then, where she makes a comment. It's like, you know, people like us, we don't get to be normal.
Mm-hmm.
So it really reflects that as you said, as her innermost desire, that she wants to be normal. And she knows that she's not, but she doesn't feel like she ever can be. You know, which
right.
Personally found that to be very interesting.
Right. I mean, I agree. I think that was actually really well done. I understood the reasoning for all that, and how it was kind of set up a little bit to go into it. So I thought that was nice. I would have personally liked to have seen a few more action scenes from the squad themselves. I wanted to see more of the squad themselves, but then that's kind of a good and bad thing. So you gotta take that what you will. I wanted to see more of the Joker. Apparently scenes got cut. I don't know if we'll get another Ultimate Edition extended cut or what have you. That might fix some of the problems I do have with this movie, but you know, again, I don't think this movie is crap. It's made a lot of money, so far for opening week. It actually apparently beat the record for Guardians of the Galaxy, which is incredible because Guardians did so well. So, and Deadpool, I think it beat the opening weekend for Deadpool. So that's definitely something. Hopefully that holds up, and we'll just have to see if we get an extended cut and it fixes some of the issues I have to make it higher. And I was higher than you, so hopefully it would fix some of your problems with it too. But anything else?
Well, in terms of fixing problems, I would hope that certain motivations actually come more into light here for an extended movie, because we do have one of the things that happened earlier on is Katana shows up and it's like, well, she's here to protect whoever the commander was. I can't remember.
Rick Flag.
Rick Flag. Okay. And it talks about her backstory, but it really doesn't. It doesn't really actually explain as to why she's working with Vargas and why she took this job, or whatever have you. So she's just kind of there.
Mm-hmm.
Which also throughout the movie, she feels a bit more spectator-like in her interactions with everybody else, which I guess in some ways makes sense.
Okay, yeah, I was also I think that kind of makes sense, but.
But I did want more out of Katana, because I'm not that familiar with her, but I did know that she's been part of the TV show and part of the Birds of Prey, I think, and stuff like that. So wanted more out of that. But one of the things that other people are commented on too, and I don't have to comment to, is that one day it's like everybody's free, and it's like theoretically, and they can just go.
Mm-hmm.
Arrow, or not Arrow.
Arrow.
Yeah, I got thinking about this. Yeah, Captain Boomerang just takes off and then he just comes right back.
Right.
But doesn't say a thing, and nobody seems to hardly comment on.
I still say if he had just taken off and that had been in, I would have lost my mind. That would have been the funniest thing for me, for him to just exit the movie like that, to just go off. That would have been pretty good. But yeah, he's there. He shows up. Killer Croc has a weird way of getting into the water. I just want to say, this is very odd. It's like, what are you doing? Like, I get it that you're a crocodile person, but you can't just walk into the water. You got to get on all fours and crawl funny. I don't know. That was odd. Yeah, I can agree with that. Anything else?
I'm trying to think.
There's probably more stuff. I just can't think of it.
All right, so I guess this concludes our spoiler review for right now.
Yeah, I think I did a little bit of a rant earlier. I had my moment to collect myself.
Just had to get out of your system.
I had to get it out of my system. I mean, look, we all knew he was a goner, but damn. Anyway, yeah, I think everything was gone through. Again, you can love DC movies, you can love Marvel movies, and you can criticize both. Doesn't matter. It sucks that the critics have it at, it's a 27 or 26 or whatever it is on Rotten Tomatoes, and it's messed up for me because I like the DC movies and all three of them have low scores, which is kind of nuts. But at the same time, that's the way movies happen sometimes. Just because the critics don't like it, that doesn't mean I have to like it or not like it. I have my own opinion on it. So, and I'm sharing that with you guys. So hopefully, you obviously didn't like it as much, but we're still talking about it.
Yeah.
It's not like I got angry at you over it or anything like that. Like, it's bound to happen. But you did like Batman v Superman, so opinions are there. Opinions are different. So sometimes it gets frustrating when people consistently bash something. Because I've mentioned that before. But aside from that, like, it doesn't bother me. It is what it is. But I will say, in comparing movies, Iron Man had an amazing record it succeeded surprisingly to everyone. No one expected it to do as well. Man of Steel was divisive. It didn't do as well. Batman v Superman's kind of like Iron Man 2. I mean, that's the movie I compare it to. They're trying to set up Justice League. You know, they're getting some characters together. You got a few cameos. You know, you got a villain that comes in at the end there that's more of a presence, and you got this scientist guy behind it. Like, there's elements of both, and Iron Man 2 was a mess, and Batman v Superman had a little bit of a mess to it. I just enjoyed it more. I had thought there was more good in it. But, and then you have Suicide Squad, which I compared to Guardians, even though that's not Phase 1. Phase 1, though, consisted of, you went Iron Man, which was great, Incredible Hulk, which everyone forgot, apparently. I don't know how that happened, but people did. Then Iron Man 2, which was a mess. Then you went from that into Thor, which was okay. And then you had Captain America the First Avenger, which was even less okay. Not a lot of people loved that one. But then you had Avengers that brought them all together and did so in a good job. I enjoyed Avengers, you know. So this whole comparison thing, I think, like, you can do it and that's fine, and we've done it a little bit, but at the same time, look at how these movies have gone along. Marvel doesn't just deliver fantastic movies. They're not all perfect movies. They're not all really good movies. In fact, first lineup, I would say, is very much counter to that. And I have them. You have some. I mean, but together we have them. You know, so they're still enjoyable. But I can acknowledge that they're a little messy. They're not as good. They don't stand up to Iron Man. You know, once Iron Man came out the gate so strong and got people so excited that even though the other movies didn't quite live up to Iron Man, it's like, okay, we can still be on board with this. Man of Steel was very divisive. So I think maybe people are able to forgive less because Man of Steel was not as strong. Maybe there's other reasons to it. I don't know. But for me personally, they both have their ups and downs for this. So I guess that's my final thoughts on it.
And the thing to remember is that, you know, Marvel and DC Comics are actually inherently kind of different. You know, from what I've been reading of the more recent stuff, you know, there's a very different tone to what I was reading from Marvel than there was to DC.
Right.
And the cinematic universe is kind of different. You know, there have been a few people that suggest it's like, well, why not just do the same thing that Marvel does? I actually like it that DC is different than Marvel in this thing because it creates more variety, and DC has more of a darker edge to it where it can kind of explore some you know, deeper themes, I guess, than what I feel from some of the Marvel movies.
Yeah, it doesn't mean it can't have some levity to it. It just means overall the films don't have to be as upbeat and in your face kind of fun that Marvel does. Like, they can have their moments, but it doesn't have to be the entire movie, I guess. And again, Marvel has such a good track record now, but, you know, they've established themselves now, whereas DC is trying to. But look back at when Marvel started. Incredible Hulk was a box office kind of flop compared to the other movies. It did not do as well. And people forget that movie. And I like it. But, you know, I'm putting it out there. You can have stuff like that happen. So I'm still excited for Wonder Woman. I'm still excited for Justice League. I want to see where these films go. I'm a big DC fan. I'm a big Marvel fan. So I want these movies to do good. I'm looking forward to Doctor Strange. I did not think we'd ever get a Doctor Strange movie. It just didn't occur to me that could be a thing. But we are getting it. So, cool. But anyway, that's it for me. Anything from you?
I think they'll do it for me too.
Okay. So I'm going to go pray for Slipknot. And hopefully you guys enjoyed this vid. Click that like button, share, subscribe to my channel, and watch my other vids. I do appreciate it. Also, real quick, there is a movie tournament announcement video that I did. Go check that out and comment what you would like to see in the tournament. Thanks so much, guys, and until next time.
Peace.